Welcome back, everybody. This Week in America. Thank you for joining us on the program. The website, very simple, thisweekinamerica.us. As mentioned on the program today, author Friedhelm Hermesmann. We'll call him Fred Hermesmann for the sake of the interview. Friedhelm is his name. That's how the book is published. Dialogue with an Angel is the book, The Spirit of Love. Fred immigrated to Canada 50 years ago. He's been married for 46 years, 4 children, 8 grandchildren. And many of the incidents in the book are based on personal experiences used to make this book. Fred Hermesmann with us on This Week in America, the book Dialogue with an Angel, The Spirit of Love. Fred, welcome to the program. It is great to have you with us.
Thank you very much.
It is a really powerful book, and we'll talk about that in a second. I'll go through it here very briefly, and then we'll talk about your background and then get back and talk about the book Dialogue of an Angel. In the book, Harry is a very successful businessman, but he's unfulfilled personally. He has a meeting with an angel, and he learns to focus on what is really important in his life. That's sort of the nutshell. We'll get back and talk about it and how it relates to all of us. But Fred, you've got such a fascinating background. Let's talk about that and sort of establish who you are and how the book came about. I mentioned you went to Canada a little over 50 years ago. How did that happen? Because you ended up in Canada with basically no money, didn't speak any English. Talk about going from Berlin and a successful career there to Canada.
Well, my whole life is a kind of spiritual journey. That's the way I best describe it. I always felt that God was part of my life, even when I was a young boy. And somehow I had dreams, and I wanted to be successful in life. So I took a business degree in Germany, went to university there, took a business degree, and grew up in Wiesbaden, which is a city close to Frankfurt on the River Rhine. It's a beautiful place. But I went to Berlin during the Cold War, where Berlin was an island in the Communist Sea, walled in, and I was there for 1 year, because the German government at that time asked young people to go to Berlin and see what they can do to help. And I was there when Mr. Kennedy was there and said, "Ich bin ein Berliner." I was in that crowd there. In any case, I was also there when Kennedy died, and he was shot. But somehow I was unfulfilled in Berlin, and I said, I have to do something with my life. I can't live here. So I went to Canada. I got a visa, a working visa to Canada. I had no money. The government paid me half the airfare, and they said, "Well, you got to stay here 2 years, and we'll help you paying the airfare," which I did. So I arrived in Toronto, and I didn't know where to go. And so I said, the first thing what I said when I arrived at the airport, well, I said, "Dear Lord, here I am. I have no idea where we go, but help me to find the right place." And it did happen. And what happened is that I got an address which really didn't exist in Toronto, and I got a taxi to go there. And the taxi driver dropped me up right in the middle of the street with my 2 suitcases. And it was night, at 9 o'clock in the evening. And so I knocked at the door of another house there and see whether they have room and board, but they didn't. So 4 blocks further down the road was a rooming house where I could live. But I had to take a taxi from that place to the rooming house. And that taxi driver decided my life, because he helped me to show a place where I could live. And we went there. He could speak German. I couldn't speak English, so he helped me to get it. And then from there on, it went a change, constant, like a chain reaction of events through my life, which really made me very successful in business.
And a big part of that, and the book is Dialogue with an Angel, The Spirit of Love. We'll talk about the basis of the book here in a few seconds.
Yeah.
We're getting background on the author. Fred Hermesmann. The book is published by Friesen Press, and the website is Friesen, that's Friesen press.com. Information on the book, Dialogue with an Angel, is available there. And you can go to our website, thisweekinamerica.us, and link on directly to the Friesen Press website. Prayer has been such a major part of your life, and you talk about it in the book, and you just alluded to it. The relationship you have with God is almost, would you call it personal, where it's just the two of you talking? It's like you're talking to a friend.
You see, then there was another major event in my life. I mean, I have been in business very successful. I helped building one of the big companies. I was an accountant and so on, but that's immaterial because, well, without God's help, I never would have been going this way. But the other thing, what really made me get going on this book is my neighbor. He is the first heart transplant in British Columbia, Canada. And he was clinically dead for about 4 minutes. I brought him in the hospital because he had a heart attack, and he was lying there in this bed, and he got these electroshocks. And these electroshocks didn't work. But after the fourth or fifth time, his heart started to pump again. And he got a heart transplant. And later on, he lived another 10 years, and we went golfing. And then he started about his experience being dead. And so he said, yeah, I saw a big light, wonderful light. I saw people, and it was a great experience. But I was asked to come back to this life. I didn't want to, but I want. And he told me that 3 or 4 times. So out of this, a couple of years later, I put 2 and 2 together, and I said, well, I might as well write something about God's Spirit in our life. And so this book developed over a period of 3-4 years or 5 years. We live close to the ocean, so I go for meditational walks every night, and I think about this and so on. And then suddenly these ideas sprang up, and then on a weekend, I sat down and wrote it down, and that was it.
And you said,
day and night, and off we go, and that was it.
And so many people, when they're going to write something, they're intimidated by it. It takes them a long time to go through the process. You said basically once you started, it just poured out. You literally couldn't stop until you were finished.
I just couldn't stop writing. And so I don't know what it means. I'm not here to be a preacher, and I'm not here to change everybody on whatever it is, but I just wrote down what I feel is right, and I'd like to change the world, so I like to make sure that we in this world where the information is available to everybody, that we also have a kind of spiritual journey, the one which I experienced, to a better life.
The book is called Dialogue with an Angel, The Spirit of Love. Fred Hermesmann is our guest on the program. The book is available at Friesen Press. That's Friesen press.com. Information at our website, thisweekinamerica.us, and you can log on and link on directly to Fred's website. In talking about the book, I mentioned Harry is a successful businessman but unfulfilled. You were talking about your experiences before you came to Canada from Germany and used the word unfulfilled as well. You've got Harry involved in the book, his longtime wife, Beatrice, their son, Charles, and then you've got an angel. And Harry did I sum that up correctly? He was successful in business but unfulfilled on a personal level.
Well, he was successful first, and through his success, he suddenly realized, well, I don't have other things in mind, money and whatever,
right.
And I don't love my wife anymore and my kids and whatever. I mean, these are fictional characters, and it only shows what that money can do for you if you only think of money, because you suddenly don't really think about the real values in life, which is really love and relationship between you and your wife and your family and God.
The book is Dialogue with an Angel, the Spirit of Love. One of the things you discuss and one of the points in the book is that God is not far away, always available in our lives. And you talk about Genesis. Explain that a little bit.
Okay. You see, I do study quite a bit, and I read a lot, and I read the Bible, and in fact, I'm very much active in my parish here in Delta, BC, which is a suburb of Vancouver. And so it is really, by reading this, you really automatically, you go on a journey, on a spiritual journey. I mean, my thoughts which I have today aren't the same thoughts which I had, 50 years ago or so. It's a kind of progress, an evolution. So when you go to the Genesis, the book of Genesis, the book of Genesis is strictly a theological statement which focuses on the creation of humanity. Adam is a symbol for this humanity. That's my thought. It is not a real person, but Adam represents the humanity. And God created Adam, or the humanity, with in his own image, which is the soul, which the eternal soul, which each human being has, male or female, in the same boat. We are the same. And so with this creation of the human soul, God gave also the human soul the freedom to decide between good and evil. We have we can decide which way we want to go, either good or evil. And through the grace of God, we always make the right choice, which means we are a loving person, a good person, and we simply have to somehow lift this grace or this love in our relationship to our fellow human being.
The book is dialogue.
Very easy to do, because all you have to do is say good morning and smile and help and do the good things in life.
Yeah, it's
rather
simple.
Than hate.
Well, yes, and it's simple the way you present it in Dialogue with an Angel, the Spirit of Love. And this is, I mentioned the encounter with an angel. He thinks, it's a Hell's Angel motorcyclist, he thinks at first, and then realizes this is much more than a motorcyclist.
Yeah. You see, I play with words. The word in the English language, vision is wonderful, because vision gives you a kind of spiritual direction where you go. This character, Harry, who is that egotistic businessman, he assumes right away he is an Hell's Angel because he looks like one. But really, he is a heaven's angel, and he helps Harry to discuss these wonderful, simple points. There are 12 points they discuss, which is a simple way of relating God's Spirit to each and every one of us. Now, this is my own idea. I may step on a few toes here or there on somebody, but this is the way I think.
Well, and it's
a very simple and easy way to develop relationships, not only to God, but also to your fellow human being.
And how important that is. And you talk in the book, Dialogue with an Angel, the Spirit of Love, about developing relations with all religions. And I know something that really bothers you is sometimes the inability for people of various religions to get along. And then you see killing actually being done in the name of God. Yeah.
You see, we also talk about, first of all, I talk about the crucifixion of Christ. The crucifixion of Christ was decided before the universe was created. Because when God created the human soul, he also made sure that this human soul goes to heaven. He didn't want a human soul which goes to hell. So his son, which I believe Jesus was the Son of God, and his face is really scorched onto the Shroud of Turin. I believe this Shroud of Turin is real burial clothes of Christ. So you can see that face. And through this act of crucifixion, a covenant was made between God and humanity. And Christ leads humanity into heaven. That's the way I see it. He's Son of Man and Son of God.
Dialogue with an angel. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
This is based on my faith. And the definition of faith, as St. Paul says in his letters to the Hebrew, is the assurance that what you hope for is the truth.
That's in the book.
I hope this is the truth.
Well, it's very thought-provoking. Dialogue with an Angel, the Spirit of Love, and time is going by rapidly. A couple of minutes left in the program. Our guest is the author Fred Hermesmann. The book is published by Friesen Press. That's Friesen Press.com is the website. You can find that at our website, thisweekinamerica.us. In talking about the role of Christ, you talk about him as a very practical man.
Yes.
And the parables he used, those are timeless, right? Those still are guidance for our lives.
We've got to realize that when Jesus taught the people there, he had to use parables because nobody could read or write. So he had to use simple parables, stories, which are really to express who God is, how love is, what grace is. He expresses all his teaching in these parables. And if you may, I want to discuss one parable which to me is one of the keys to this whole teaching.
Yes, please do.
I call it the Gospel's Gospel, which is the parable of the prodigal son. And if you permit me, I just briefly explain the way I see that parable. There's three persons. There's a father, there's two sons, and the father is the estate holder. He is a rich man. He has everything. He is the estate. So his youngest son demands from his father to give his inheritance to him because he wants to leave. So he goes away. And then he spends all the money on everything what he had, and suddenly he realizes that he wants to go back to his father because there his life was much better than what he experiences right now. And at rock bottom, he goes back to his father. The reaction, and he says, the son says, "Father, forgive me because I have sinned." But the reaction of God is so joyful, so passionate. He celebrates with the whole house. And he says, that to me is the love of God who has, the love God has for all of us who want to repent. And repent really means a change of direction from a life of sin or misery or whatever to a life of love and relationship to God. And of course, a third son, he sees all that and he's jealous. But the father says to him, "Well, I'm with you all the time. Don't you realize that I love you?" You know? So somebody, if you really want to understand the teaching of Christ, you got to read that story the way I just explained it.
Yes, and I love the way you explained that. The book is Dialogue with an Angel, the Spirit of Love. It's very easy to read. There are a lot of thought-provoking areas in the book, as we just mentioned here during the course of the program. The author is Fred Hermesmann. That's Hermesmann. The book is Dialogue with an Angel, the Spirit of Love. It's published by Friesen Press, and that's Friesen. FriesenPress.com is the website. Of course, it's available at Amazon and Barnes & Noble, and you can always go to our website, thisweekinamerica.us, and link on directly to information on the book. Fred, I really enjoyed having the opportunity to read the book. It's a great story. It's very easy to read, easy to understand. Sometimes we make things more complicated than they really need to be. It was very easy to understand. You'll get a lot out of reading it. Dialogue with an Angel, The Spirit of Love. Thank you for being with us on the program.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. The book, once again, Dialogue with an Angel, The Spirit of Love. Information available at our website, thisweekinamerica.us.